Now, I've shown you this little toy of mine before. I'm showing it you again. This is the Canalabs Peggotty board, whereby you create a pattern. That pattern becomes like the a symbol for the energy you're trying to send, or a symbol for the thing you're trying to fight against. Okay, let's say you catch a bad head cold, you want to do a bit of like healing placebo work on you. You balance the rates, namely you reverse the numbers, so if that one's like number 8, then that will then become number 2, because that's 0, 1, 2, and so on and so forth with all of them. Then you'd meditate into that and convince yourself that you are fighting against the previous rate, the previous number code. Okay, that's the idea. Now, I've done a bit of a cool, weird thing, and I've added an aerial. Now, you might think, what's the point in that? Well, just thinking it through. Let's say this is what people suggest it is, a subtle energy device. Let's say that, there really are like tensor rings and all that kind of stuff in the PCB. There's an extra coil down here where the witness sample goes, and so on and so forth. Why not put an aerial in it? Now, one thing I haven't yet tried to do is to plug into the input a frequency generator and to see whether I would feel different when there's frequency going through the board and frequency going through the aerial as of yet. But I did think that maybe that would help to carry intention. One thing I would quickly say is that with the homemade radionic device, I did an intention there, my DNA there, input plate, output plate. The dials were set for that one particular intention based upon stick pad dowsing. And that one particular, thing that I was hoping to get in my life appears to be slowly happening. I'm not, but on the other hand, of course, there's no way of saying whether me playing around with dials and meditation and all that kind of stuff has actually had the effect of, it's actually done something and created a change. You can't say that. People often say things like, oh, I'm so successful, I'm so powerful. Yeah, but on the other hand, maybe it wasn't down to you. Maybe it wasn't, okay? This is just experimental, it's just fun, it's just recreation, it's a curiosity. Okay, I put a fair bit of time, energy and money into my hobby and curiosity and the rest of that, but on the other hand, there's stuff going on there. The symbol for my intention is written there on that particular piece of paper using a symbolic structure. Just like with this, you have the same thing. The whole grid here becomes basically your input plate, and that would be your output plate if you were sending to a particular sample or DNA. Or failing that, you would not have the antenna in it. You would have one of these extension plates wired into it there. Alright, now if I was going to do fun things with the aerial, I'd probably put the antenna into the extension plate, which is compatible BNC connection, so therefore it would actually fit in. But I hate using the phrase "it works" about any of this weird stuff. I mean, it's no matter of a lie. I've been looking into trying to understand aspects of the Christo-pagan community, and I was having a look at, I think it was the Trinitarian Wicca, which is going around now in some parts of the world. I haven't got a thing against it, okay? It's fine. If people are happy with that, it's fine. But they're saying things like, it works about a religion. Now, all religions are basically made up, alright? Even the well-adjusted ones, okay? There's a certain quantity of man-made stuff thrown into everything, alright? Maybe there's like, it's like a springboard. It's like a structure that you can use to try and get yourself other experiences, other thoughts and feelings, and help you with the aspects of your personal development, of which it is not complete. You still need to go to counselling, therapy. You need to sort yourself out properly, as well as having a faith-based position, and also living a life which is based upon trying to find the answers and actually reading stuff heavily and challenging yourself and going through various stages in order to try and become a properly healed person. Just becoming religious won't necessarily help. Okay, it's only part of the deal. Anyway, I read into this stuff about Trinitarian Wicca, and some of it I thought was, quite fun and beneficial and quite interesting, and some of it was very familiar, obviously. But there was also this thinking that they're interpreting like the Old Testament God as being some kind of false God, that was created almost like by a mistake or something, and then when Jesus came, that's like trying to write it, and so on and so forth. And I thought, doesn't that necessarily have like the seeds in it for some kind of like racist misuse at some point? And I thought to myself, well, maybe it does. So, I got some questions about how aspects of the Christo-pagan community is developing. But then there's other aspects which aren't like that. So, it swings and roundabouts. And I think that religion doesn't necessarily make people's politics. I used to think to myself, like, maybe, a good spirituality would change the world. But obviously that's bullshit. People hang their characters on what they're experiencing rather than or what they're believing, rather than actually using what they're believing to change what they are as a person, and so on and so forth. And sometimes it is the other way around, depending upon the source of their knowledge and wisdom. It's crazy. Anyway, back to talking about the board. Okay, this one particular code I created for a friend of mine. He doesn't know I've done it, okay? But he's been going through some bad stuff, and I was just hoping I can give him some, a bit of positivity. All right, so I got out, what I've got in here, which is my fabulous. Let's see if I can do it one-handedly. Isis pendulum. I've actually got a mirror Isis pendulum, which has a different structure and different shape to it on order, which I'd love to show you when it comes out, because a bit of show and tell on my fun toys is great fun. Anyway, I use the ideas from Eric Hunter's book of using that, an anti-clockwise movement to remove stuff, and a clockwise to put stuff in. And I used the symbol which I had created as a result of dowsing. These are different type of stick pad dowsing method, because I thought to myself, like, what's the point in me like using the stick pad when I can just use that as a stick pad? So when I got the funny feeling, then that would be where I would place the peg, and therefore that would be the number for that particular race I'm creating. And I did that the whole way through the board, and that's the configuration I got for him, and it is, for the thing which the intention was to undo some damage to him. Okay, so that's what this was all about. And I went into my prayer and meditation and got out my little dangly thing, and I did my dangly thing with my dangly thing, and dangled quite excessively with my dangly thing. And I'm, obviously I'm just hoping, but I did feel like some kind of like energetic stuff happening there. And I'm assuming that, because this is partially psychological, partially physical, it's believed that the board itself has got some physical properties, which means that can help with the energy work, okay? And then there's also psychology, the psychology of the number code, which is quite stark because it's black and white on here, okay? And then, of course, the psychology of sending something out with the antenna. Now, I don't know about the wiring of the antenna and whether if I did put a frequency generator in there, whether it would blow the frequency generator. So I might just use one of my cheaper one first and see what happens there. And I also don't want to blow the circuitry in the board, because this has been designed for 20 volts, and presumably I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to blow it up, so I'll have to think very carefully before I experiment along those lines. We'll just have to see what happens. I could put a lower voltage in there, just like 2.5 volts, 3 volts, 5 volts, so something small, rather than to go up to the higher level, because I can adjust that on my frequency generator to be able to make sure that I'm still getting the Schumann frequency, oscillation here, which then has a positive effect upon the mind, because as I told you from that book by Radati, anyone who does any form of this weird stuff enters in a very close to Schumann resonance frequency in their brainwave, perfect sine wave. So there will then be an entrainment, brainwave entrainment, body entrainment, nervous system entrainment effects if you got a device in front of you, possibly with a bit of extra transmitting power there, okay, sending out that very same frequency. So I'm believing that will then help my brain to get synchronized with it, and then I would then integrate with the pattern, with the device, and so on and so forth. That's the way I'm thinking about it, okay? Obviously, it's still a question of more questions and answers, more questions and answers. That's the way it is. It's just when there is, lots of people out there who say they've got the answers and this stuff works, it works. People talk about a religion saying it works is bloody stupid. They all work. And they all don't work at the same time, don't they? That's the way it is. Maybe it's the same with everything else, right? You do something weird, and it's going to have a meditative effect on you. It's definitely going to do that thing, okay? All right, if you're trying to do this to cure someone of cancer, it might not necessarily work. But on the other hand, there are some, and this is what's weird, some pendulums that have been designed because of their shape and their radiosthetic color, which other people have doused off it, okay? They're supposed to have some kind of power to kill germs in the body. And they have been chosen for it, designed for it. Okay? Which is weird. Now, I don't know whether there's like anecdotes of that happening. I don't know whether through continued meditation and sending, using their pendulum like a wand, directing to an infection, and the infection going away or being reduced, and having a laboratory test to prove it. I don't know. I mean, it's very different from the work I do with a frequency generator, when I'm actually killing things and there's objective evidence from experience of it. That's physical. When it's energetic, I think there's more questions. Sure, there's still the hypothetical possibility of this incidental psychokinetic energy that Cosmanio talked about having an effect upon the outer world. Yeah, it's believable to a certain degree, but it's still basically the power of prayer, which is not necessarily 100% the most reliable thing in the world. And even Radati, who has 4-hour long processes of doing his radionics with his KRT personal workstation with extended banks and all kinds of other things, says you can only get like 85%, alright, success rate, even though there's people giving him like engine oil and stuff so that their tractors can be blessed. Weird, okay. As well as lots of other stuff, okay. There's like more. The way I see it, there's more questions than answers. Okay, always more questions than answers, and it's your character as a person to try and find out what's going on, and it's your energy as a person to try and solve issues, and to be analytical and to ask questions. That's what's going to get you closer to the truth. It's not like being told stuff or reading stuff. It's like the whole difference between revelation, someone revealing something to you because they said it, okay, and taking that revelation and experimenting with it under different circumstances to see what happens, which can take time. Okay, when I read the book on astral projection by Sylvan Muldoon and Harewood Carrington, 2 whole years it took me to have the full experience, which proved that what he was talking about was right. Okay, so maybe that's the same with all this stuff as well, to a certain extent. More questions and answers, but still let's ask those questions and let's do the experiments. See where I'm coming from here. Keep cool, chill out, don't go crazy. You're awesome, you know it. Buy a pendulum. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.